Hello and welcome to the Candlelight Podcast, where I, Mohamed Abdalla, talk about different topics, including some of my favorites, which are movies, martial arts, and philosophy. Let's start with this week's quote, guys. Oh, I just tried to snap my fingers, but for some reason, I guess my hands are a bit sweaty. My fingers are a bit sweaty, so I couldn't pull it off properly. But now I can, because I kind of mushed the sweat off. Anyway, this week's quote, guys. A black belt is someone that will either find a way or make one, as relayed to us by Professor Joseph Manuel, a black belt and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a practitioner. So, this quote is actually very applicable to everything, almost everything outside the world of martial arts, or more specifically Jiu-Jitsu. A black belt is someone that will either find a way or make one. You can think of it as, simply as whatever life problem you have, a smart person, a wise person, will either find a way to deal with them or make one. For example, you have a problem that you need to deal with at work, and let's say your coworkers don't know what to do, or your employees don't know what to do. You have to find that way to solve the problem, or you make one. You kind of make your own way, which is something very important in this life. Speaking from experience, I've had to do that a lot. Instead of, just accepting what I have in front of me, I can find a way and just, stay where I am, not try to find anything, not try to do anything more than just search for a way. You kind of have to make a way. Yeah, it really takes something. I'm kind of rambling. I don't know why, because I kind of, my blood sugar, I guess, is low, maybe. I don't know. But you guys get my point. We either find a way or make one. It's a black belt, and this quote specifies a black belt is the one to do that. In order to be a black belt, a master at what you do, someone at a very high level, you need to be of that mindset where you won't let setbacks stop you. You will find a way to succeed. You will find a way to make it. You'll find a way to solve any problem that comes your way. So, high-level problem solving. That's what you're supposed to do, basically. Oh, this can be actually related to something such as, video game developing, or, simply programming. When you're trying to make a program that's, or a video game that has, you're making a video game and it turns out to have many bugs, you have to find a way to solve the problem, which, are the bugs that are presented in the gameplay as you test it out. However, maybe trying to find the solution to the problem isn't the right way to go. It's the first step, obviously, but it's not necessarily the answer, because there was no solution to the problem that you have encountered yet. So you have to make your own way. You have to make your own path and try to find your own and create your own solution for this problem. This kind of brings into mind the video games that are very innovative. Video games that I have, when I play them, I know that this is innovation. This is the next level. This is what video games have the potential to be. Other video games have the potential to be. A game that comes to mind, actually, is Red Dead Redemption 2. I played that last summer, actually. That was a game that I enjoyed last summer. And it was just mind-blowing every step of the way. Just how well made that game is. How well crafted it was. It's a masterpiece of of video game design, programming, storytelling, characters, gameplay mechanics. It just, all that you can think of. It ticks all the boxes, and it's like a perfect A. It exceeds all expectations. I didn't expect the game to be that good when I started. The first Red Dead Redemption was very good, but I didn't expect this one to be that as good as it was. I didn't expect it to actually exceed the, expectations I had for it. I was expecting a good game, not necessarily, a moderately above average game, but I didn't expect such an excellent game that would be a contender for one of the greatest games I've ever played in my life. Like, seriously, I'm debating whether it's Red Dead Redemption 2 or Skyrim that is the best game I've ever played in my life. So, yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 really knocked it out of the park. The developers, they did a great job, and it was obvious. It was obvious they took such, crazy amount of care to craft every little detail in that game. It was just so, amazing to see such a product to have been delivered by a video game company. Something that's so well made, something that's so well, refined. It's not something that was, kind of like a second or third draft, and there you go, it's ready. It was like the millionth draft where everything is good. The storyline, the characters' dialogue, the, interactions between random characters, between you and the random characters in the world and the video game map, or the world that you can, interact with. It's just amazing. Sorry about the levels there. I can see the levels kind of spiked, and that doesn't look good, honestly. But hey, so yeah, I appreciate how they made such a good game. I really enjoyed that game. And I don't know, maybe I even replay it in the future. I played it last year for a good amount of time, and I still have it vividly stuck in my head. I'm not sure if I'm going to replay it anytime soon. Maybe I will this summer, actually. Maybe. Or I'm just going to wait longer so I can, be able to re-experience some of the, first impressions that I've had sometime in the future. You guys get the feel. When you watch a movie and it's really good, but you watch it the second time too soon, it's maybe not as good. Oh, actually, speaking of that, I noticed that sometimes I watch movies and I don't appreciate them on the first viewing. I think I've mentioned this before. And then I rewatch them again, and then it's amazing. I catch a lot of things that I missed, and a lot of little messages, little nuances. I actually talked about this before on this podcast. The movie Soul by Pixar. I watched it the first time. I liked it. I really liked it. It's a pretty good movie, but I didn't, get the core message of it, because it was a movie of, it's Pixar. They always put the highest standards. They practice the kind of concept of show, don't tell. So when they showed me the first time I watched it in the cinema, I was like, what was that all about? But then I rewatched it again at home later on, months later, and I was like, wow. So that's what this movie's about. And man, yeah, I really appreciated it the second time around, interestingly enough. So yeah, I guess if a movie wasn't good once, you can potentially rewatch it, and it turns out to be great. Interesting. I think, come to think of it, that was the case for my favorite movie, my favorite movie of all time that I've watched, which is Braveheart. I watched Braveheart the first time. I didn't really. I was half watching it. I was watching it actually, and I was in the gym, working out. So it was watching it, but also not paying that much attention to it. Didn't expect it to be as good as it was, obviously, and didn't expect it to be as, one of those movies where you have to be focusing on and appreciating and savor the first time you're watching. So I really kind of watched it, and then I rewatched it, and that's when I truly fell in love with the movie and felt like I really watched something great, something truly great. Yeah. And speaking of those, speaking of movies that are historical pieces, I've been planning on watching, actually this week, watching The Lion of the Desert film, a biopic on the life of Umar al-Mukhtar, the Libyan revolutionary against the Italian colonizers, God rest his soul. Made by the same director, Mustafa al-Aqad, that made the great film, The Message, God rest his soul. My father actually talked about how underrated this director is due to the impact he's able to produce from his films, such as the two I've mentioned, The Lion of the Desert and The Message. So, as the movie I'm planning on watching, which is Lion of the Desert, it's actually banned in Italy due to its anti-Italian imperialism. I love historical pieces of literature, and yes, I do consider films to be literature. What more proof of that do you need after watching something like Braveheart? Sure, it may not have been the most historically accurate in Braveheart's case, but that film was a masterpiece of cinema and storytelling. Yeah, so I'm planning on watching this movie this week, and I really hope I enjoy it. I've watched The Message, great filmmaking, amazing film, really captured the heart of it all, of what happened back in Mecca and Medina, back in the 7th century. Man, the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, just his life story is just. I really struggle to put this into words. It's just so beautiful, all of it. And Mustafa Al-Aqad actually did a good job of portraying that, God rest his soul. And I do plan on watching his film, Umar al-Mukhtar, which I didn't do yet. So, yeah, that's what I hope on doing. Oh, and speaking of what I've done, I guess, so far, I kind of mentioned that last week that I had my final exam, and I finished my final exam, and my summer has officially started. And I also got an internship. So I landed one, and hopefully it's going to start in midsummer. So it's hopefully going to be a busy summer. As I mentioned, I have the internship. I'm going to be working out and dieting, making sure I'm fit, take advantage of this free time that I have, and also see what I can do with regard to innovating, on this podcast. If I have any ideas, and also seeing what I can, what more I could actually do. Build my resume, work on myself, do anything that I could to be a more complete human being that's very employable, someone that's actually happy with where they are, and someone who people will be happy with, and I will have opportunities in order to be able to, do what I could to make this world a better place, which is the ultimate goal. So, and in other news, I'm not going to switch topics, it's still about summer. So, I hope to go to Qatar, actually, travel to Qatar this summer. Hopefully, I will get to do that, because I do miss my family, and I do want to see them, and I do miss that country. It's my second home country, basically, after the UAE. So, I do hope on being able to travel there this summer. And I guess that's really what I have in mind right now for summer. I guess I could do more in the coming days and think about more stuff that I can just do, fill my plate with. Because I don't like having nothing to do. It sucks. I go crazy. I like to stick with, have stuff to do, have errands to run, and just do that. Oh, and this Friday, actually, my family finally got together. We finally got together, and, after, 2 weeks of not seeing each other due to COVID, us going down with symptoms and testing positive. Yeah, so we finally got together on Friday. We enjoyed each other's company. Finally back. Alhamdulillah. Nobody was seriously hurt. And except for, nobody was hurt, but we got together, except for a few of my cousins who still have the Rona, sadly. And I hope they get well soon. And I hope we get to see them next Friday. Hopefully. So, yeah, everything's going good so far. Well, I guess I don't have much to speak about, I guess. But, sometimes, yeah, it's so weird how some weeks I have a lot to speak about, but some other weeks I don't. I think I don't right now because my blood sugar is kind of low, and haven't eaten since lunch. And it's 9:30 at night right now. I'm just chilling, just, me and the podcast, just recording, and I don't really have much to say. I guess I'm telling you, it's probably because of my blood sugar levels being low. Otherwise, I'd be more creative, be more animated, even have more things to talk about. Maybe not even run out of things to talk about, because really, sometimes I just go off and I can talk for hours. Sometimes, but it's a mood thing. Sometimes you're in the mood, sometimes you're not. And I guess it's due to, as I said, why do I keep repeating this? I already said it. Low blood sugar levels. But it's not something that's like a diabetes thing. Alhamdulillah, thank God. I don't have anything that's like diabetes or diabetes itself. I don't have any disease that's like that. Alhamdulillah, I'm good. It's not something to do with that. But, sometimes it's especially it happens when you're fasting. Oh, and speaking of fasting, because, sometimes when you fast, your blood sugar goes low, so you're like not in the mood, I guess, and you're kind of like tired. That's how it is. And speaking of fasting, after Ramadan, we have 6 days of Shawwal, the month right after Ramadan, the Islamic month right after Ramadan, to fast 6 days. And if you fast 6 days, it's actually a sunnah as well. So that's what I'm doing. I am planning on fasting 6 days this Shawwal, and I've already done one so far, one day, and I'm hopefully gonna do the rest of the 5 before the month is over, which is almost next week. So I gotta make sure that I put in my time and do my fasts. Fast, get some ajr, get some good deeds done. I'm not gonna be in this world for long, guys. And I don't have a disease, by the way. I'm not saying this because I have like cancer or something. I'm gonna die. No. I don't know when I'm gonna die. I don't know how I'm gonna die. I just know that I will die. And I will be returned to my Lord, and I want to make sure that I've done the best to be the best person that I am, and make the most effort to make this world a better place. I want to do good deeds. I want to do good because it's the right thing to do. So, speaking of that, we Muslims actually have 3 reasons as to why we do good things, why we choose to do good things rather than bad things. 3 reasons. One of them being we want to get to heaven. We want to get the ultimate reward for, doing good, and which is everlasting, infinite life in the great plains, in the great garden of heaven, where you just live out the rest of eternity in eternal happiness. Just happiness. Pure joy. Heaven. The Arabic word for heaven, by the way, is Jannah. Jannah. So that's one reason. The other reason is actually to avoid going to hell, which is the hellfire, which is not where people who are not Muslim will go. People who are not Muslim don't necessarily go to hell. They can actually go to heaven. The only people that go to hell, are the truly bad people on this earth. You can name names off the top of your head, mass murderers, genocidal maniacs, the people who have done so much harm, the people who have had the choice to be good, but chose to be evil to suit their own, self-interest or whatever other reason. They chose evil over good when they could have chosen good. Those are the people that are going to go to hell. Not people who are simply not Muslim or simply not practicing or... it's people who had the choice to be good, knew what was the right thing to do, but instead chose the wrong thing for whatever, nefarious, bad reason. So, that's the 2 reasons so far. 1 is to go to heaven. 2 is to avoid hell. And number 3, which is the important one, we do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. We do good because that's what we have to do. That is our duty. That is what we do. That is the right thing. Simply because it's intrinsically the right thing to do. Why do I worship God? Because He is worthy of being worshipped. Because worshiping Him as a human, as a created being, worshiping Him is my responsibility. Why do I treat my brothers and sisters in a good way? Why do I have manners? Why do I make sure that my parents are happy? It's because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing intrinsically. It is my duty to do this. And there you go. These are the 3 reasons why we try our best to do good things. Which is, we want to go to heaven. It's the dream, honestly. That's where I want to end up, and I hopefully end up there. I hopefully go there without having to fear for where I'm going to go, because on the day of judgment, God is going to judge us, and He is going to, judge based on our hearts, based on what the contents of our hearts. Are we good people or not? And that'll be, obviously, it's going to be self-evident whether or not we're good people by our deeds. Have you done the good things to do, the right things to do, or have you done more bad than right? Or it's going to be measured, and depending on that it's where you're going to go, which level of heaven you're going to go to, or even which level of hell you're going to go to, depending on how bad of a person you are. But hopefully no one that listens to this podcast is a bad person. I wish all of you listening to this can join me in heaven. I hope we all get there safely, and just have a big old party like the world's never seen. Just get to enjoy ourselves. Everything is permitted in heaven. You can do whatever you want because there is no harm to be done in heaven. So you can really just enjoy yourself. Anyway, I think I've gone too long on that for now because we have other news, which is MMA news. Let's talk about MMA for a bit. So this weekend's card, headlined by Yersinio Rosenstruik and which is versus why am I stammering? Yersinio Rosenstruik against Augusto Sakai. They are the headline of this card, which is particularly not stacked. It's a not stacked card, but recent cards have shown us that it could still be exciting. It's really just those, underrated bangers that are overlooked. But we're going to watch and we're going to see how well it does. So, in much more interesting news, I guess, next week we have UFC 263, the pay-per-view. UFC 263, the pay-per-view headlined by Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori for the middleweight belt. And the co-main is Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno 2 because the first fight ended in an amazing draw. So we gotta run it back, see who's the true flyweight champion. And under that, we've got Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. Finally, Nate Diaz is fighting ever since 2019. And we've got Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad. So I'm really excited for that card, guys. It's stacked. It has big names. It has interesting matchups that will shape many divisions in the futures. So the Damian Maia fight and the Nate Diaz fight, yeah, these guys. It's a welterweight fight. We're gonna see whether or not. First of all, let's talk about Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad. I think Damian Maia is actually getting older and he's way past his prime by now. And Bilal Muhammad is a hungry lion on his way to the top. I think Bilal gets this one. He beats Damian Maia in order to get a top 10 fight. And I'm really excited to see how well he does in the future. But I really hope he doesn't underestimate his opponent that's in front of him and gets the win so that he gets to go on to have a successful future at welterweight. Speaking of welterweight, Leon Edwards versus Nate Diaz. So this fight, Leon Edwards, if he beats Nate Diaz, he deserves a title shot, something, because he's on an 8-fight win streak. Yes, he did fight Bilal Muhammad, a few months ago, but the fight ended in a no contest due to Leon repeatedly, sadly, poking Muhammad in the eye, which ended the fight in a no contest. Man, that was just disappointing ending to that fight. I was really looking forward to it. So Leon is fighting Nate Diaz, and if Nate beats Leon, which I don't think is gonna happen, I think Leon is gonna beat Nate. But if Nate beats Leon, wow, Nate launches himself into a top 5. He can fight anyone from the top 5 in the welterweight division, which is crazy because Leon is in the top 5, and Leon himself is. He's next in line for a title shot. He's due for a title shot, but I guess one more good win, perhaps against Nate Diaz, we'll get him that title shot. Man, welterweight's so stacked. You've got Colby Covington in talks of being next for Kamaru Usman. You've got the fight between Gilbert Burns and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to see who's the next next contender, who's the next number 1 contender. If Stephen Thompson wins, I think he should get a title shot, and if Leon Edwards wins, I think he should get a title shot. Man, Usman has a lot of fights coming up, and I'm pretty sure he can win all of them. He's that good. So, now let's get down to, I was about to say welterweight, flyweight. Davison Figueiredo, Brandon Moreno. The first fight ended in a draw, and I've rewatched the fight actually recently, and I guess the fight was, I would say it's a proper draw. It's a proper draw. Maybe, I don't know, guys, but maybe Brandon Moreno won that fight due to the horrible. He may have actually won that fight if it were not for the groin shot that he suffered from Davison. Maybe he could have won that fight, but I don't know. We'll see. We've got a second chance to run it back. We have a second chance to see the fight now, and they're going to run it back. And man, it was, I think, the fight of the year of 2020. So let's see. Let's see if the rematch will be as good as the first one. And I really hope to see someone winning by finish, because that's going to be just all the more exciting. And now, coming to the main event. The main event. Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. Guys, the first fight was a split decision, because this is the second fight, actually. The two main events are... The two title fights are rematches. Israel Adesanya beat Marvin Vettori the first time they fought, but it was a split decision, with one judge giving Vettori the fight, which I don't think is the correct call, but that's how MMA judging works. It can go either way. You're never safe in the judge's hands. Never safe. So, Izzy's gonna fight Marvin. Marvin has a good chance of beating Izzy in a 3-round fight, because he could actually maybe take him down and control him with the grappling for 1 or 2 or 3 rounds, and he can actually win the fight that way. But this is a 5-rounder. It's hard to do that. The better fighter is gonna win now. It's not who's gonna, it's not just Vettori laying and praying and just grabbing onto Izzy for control time and winning on the judges' scorecards. No, it's not gonna be that easy. He's gonna have to fight the fight to win the fight. So, Izzy's gonna bring it. Marvin's gonna bring it. He's gunning for that belt, and man, it's probably gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be an exciting one. Hopefully, we see another Izzy classic. That's what I'm rooting for. I think Izzy is going to win this one. Oh, I didn't even mention who's gonna win between Davison and Brandon Moreno. Guys, as much as I like Brandon, I think Davison gets this because of his power. Brandon nullified his power in the first fight. He took it on the chin. He has a great chin, but I think Davison is able to actually do it this time. But I definitely won't count out Moreno, but I think Figueiredo has it. He's much more dominant than Moreno was in their past fights. So there you have it. My pick for this card is Belal Muhammad, Leon Edwards, Davison Figueiredo, and Israel Adesanya. So I think the two champions are going to retain their titles this weekend. I hope I'm not wrong, actually. I'm going to talk about this next week. Gonna see how right or wrong I was. So these are my picks, and I'm really looking forward to this card. But right now, did I say this weekend? I mean next weekend. This weekend we have the Jairzinho fight. I don't know much about this Augusto Sakai, actually. I don't know if he beats Jairzinho. I've never seen any of his fights. But Jairzinho, he's a good fighter, but he just doesn't do well against the elites. The elites have been dominating him. And I'm not talking about Ngannou with his 20-second knockout. No, I'm talking about Cyril Gane and Alistair Overeem. Alistair Overeem is not even at elite level in these past few years, but he still dominated Jairzinho until Jairzinho landed that last shot that knocked out Alistair, which was crazy because there was less than 5 seconds left in that fight, and Alistair would have won the decision, most likely. Because again, nobody's safe in the judges' scorecards. But yeah, Jairzinho won that one, and they went on to face Ngannou. He called out Ngannou, then went on to face him, and he got knocked down in 20 seconds. Man, that was crazy. So yeah, I want to check out this card, even though it's not particularly stacked. Like I said, I think it's still a low-key banger. Perhaps, because that's what recent cards that were not stacked have shown. So, really interesting fights coming up. Really interesting fights. I'm really looking forward to what we have next in the world of MMA. So, with that said, this was the Candlelight Podcast by yours truly, Mohamed Abdalla. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you come back for more. And once again, a black belt is someone that will either find a way or make one. See you guys in the next one. Peace!